Hey team, it's the presenter here, coming to you live, sort of ish, not really live at all because this is recorded, but still, the sentiment's the same. Anyway, coming to you from the lovely Lower Hutt Centre. What are we doing today? We're doing Word. So, I'm going to go through just a couple of basic techniques about how to navigate and use Microsoft Word a little bit. There will be other films that go more into detail about the intricacies of Word, but what I'm going to show you is going to be pretty much the same across all versions of Microsoft Word. All versions are going to have buttons that do this stuff. They might be in little different places or anything, but the idea is generally going to be the same. So if you want to just move yourself around and have a look at my screen, we'll get going, okay? Let's do it. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up your Microsoft Word. That's really easy. You just find the program that's called Microsoft Word. I'm lucky, I've already opened one before, so I'm just going to open that one up again. Now, Microsoft Word is really easy to use, and it's what I use for the majority of the documents that I make. Every time you create a document, you're going to want to go ahead and save it. So, File, Save As, and you want to give it a fairly good name, something you're going to remember and know what it is. So I'm going to call this Module Example, because I'm making it as an example for you. I'm going to go ahead and save that into my Documents folder. Done. Now, that's not really good enough, is it? Because let's have a look at my Documents folder. It is absolutely chock-a-block of stuff. You know, I'm never really going to be able to find it again in this mess. So what I really want to do is I want to make a nice folder for it. And I've already gone ahead and made a good folder, if I can find it. It's called Example. Now, what I would do if I were you, when you're doing all of your assignments and creating your documents, is when you save it, I would have a folder for each program that you're going to be using. So a folder for your PowerPoint documents, a folder for your Word documents, a folder for your Excel documents, and so on and so forth. What I want to do is, because I made a Word document, I'm just going to go ahead and pop it into my Word folder. As you can see, there's already a document in there. That's because I've already filmed this video before, but the first one really sucked, so I'm doing it again. Now, let's say that I've just logged in to my computer for the first time of the day, and I want to get into my document. Well, I could either use the document tree here, remember where I left it, so I remember that I popped it in Example and in Word, and I could find it that way, or I could search my library using the search bar here. So I remember that it's called Module Example, and that's going to search my entire system and find my document. That's service. That's really good service. Now, you might be using a different version to Microsoft Word than I've got up here. Don't worry, okay? All of the functions are going to be pretty much the same. All of your buttons are going to be very similar and do very similar jobs. So don't worry too much. As long as you know what you want to do, you're going to be able to figure out how to do it. So let's say that I want to change my line spacing. Now, line spacing is the space in between two lines. Makes sense, right? I'm going to go to Page Layout. I can change the spacing. just by pressing those little buttons. It's perfect. I can also change my margins. Now, a margin, you'll see here, is sort of like the white area along the edge of your document. Those are your margins, and you can actually change those. Click on margins. You can use one of the presets. You can see how that changed my document. You see how the margins now are massive? Or you can be a bit of a trendsetter and custom margins, create your own size. So let's say I want all of my margins to be 1 centimeter. Oh, here we go. A bit of a rebel of education. Boom. Oh, yeah. 1 centimeter margins all around. It's like my dream. Okay, now, yeah, that was pretty weird. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. You can change the color of your text. Let's say blue. I like that. Off beige, orange, purple. I now have purple text. You can highlight your text. Really handy if you're like studying and you need to highlight the really important bits. Okay, you can create tabs. Now, a tab is pretty cool. What it does is if you press the tab button on your keyboard, you see it's doing these big spaces. It's pretty handy if you're making a list or bullet points and you want all of your text to line up perfectly. You can make custom tabs, okay? You double click on the ribbon up there, and then you can say, I want a center tab, or I want my tab to be right hand side. And then you can say, where do you want it to stop? I want it to stop at 6.8 centimeters. Okay, now when you hit tab, it goes automatically to where you popped that tag in. It's pretty handy, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, just play around with it. It's really good for things like newsletters or lists, memos, things like that, okay? Now let's say we are writing a newsletter. Newsletters don't often look like this, do they? They have those like columns, you know, columns going down. What we want to do, pop in columns. We can have 2 columns. You see that? We can have 3 columns. Or we can go into more columns. Okay? And you can actually pick how many columns you want. I'm going to stick with 3. You can pop a little line in between your columns. You can change the spaces in between your columns. It just gives your document that extra little bit of panache, pizzazz, okay? Now, tables. I'm not talking about the table or the desk that you're sitting at right now. I'm talking about tables, the little squares, okay? Those are really easy to put in. Just insert, and then you can just highlight how many squares you want. You can highlight a bunch of these squares, and you can merge them. That's going to be a really good place for a title, okay? You can pop your numbers or your letters or words or whatever you want into these squares, okay, just whatever you need it for. If you need more squares, all you have to do is just insert below or insert above or insert right or split cells, okay? Tables are really easy. Just play around with them until you get what you need. Alright? So, this is my document. I like my document. I want to go and print my document. Just file, print. You'll see here, this is the print preview. Okay? This is showing me what my document looks like before I print it. And I want to have a look at my print preview because I want to make sure that it looks fine, that there's no mistakes. And when I've done that, I can just hit print. Or I can print out a few copies. printer properties, going into the all advanced stuff. We've played with this before. So those are just some of the tricks that you're going to need to use Microsoft Word effectively. Go out, have fun, make some good documents.